So let's say if I put Indian food for donation, just I'm putting anything, location, Santa Clara, description, nice food for donation, tag will be food, Indian food, URL, I'll put some image, Indian food. Let's take this one. Okay, so I'll use this image URL and I'll say create new post. Let's say confirm your post is created successfully. Let's go here. So I have created one post with nice food for donation with user ID this. State is US, California. In California we have this one. Tags are with food and with the city Santa Clara County, Santa Clara. Okay, so we got almost all the kind of data here. Let's try to add one more. Chinese food for donation. Maybe I'll put San Jose. And here I will say Chinese food. Chinese food. Okay. And let's put the, there is one problem. Let's say someone was putting capital C. We'll fix that problem in some time. Okay, so let's put any Chinese food. I don't know which one is good food. Chinese. Let's put this one. Okay, people will put capital one and someone will put small one. Whereas we have only taken directly what user is putting. So we should always make it small letter before we add into the text. So we will do that in some time. Right now we are just now putting whatever user is putting, but this is bad. Someone is putting capital and someone is putting small. So we should be able to fix that. I create it and I'll see it here. See, someone is capital and someone is small, that we don't want. And this is two posts. And if I go to county CA, we have two posts. But if I go to city, I have San Jose and Santa Clara, different city. So that means my insertion is working fine. Now we will work on the displaying of these results. Right now I'll display results as I'm showing it this way, but there are various ways to display it. We can display in multiple ways, which we will see in future days. Right now our goal is to fix this search part and the result part, and then we will go more into detail of displaying the results in proper way. Means in different ways. This is also one proper way, but there may be many ways to display the results. We will see some more ways to display the results. And whichever way you like, you can use it in your application. So right now I haven't done any coding today. Now we'll start coding. So when the page will load, this is the home page. When the home page will load, we need to call this. We need to call this one Firebase database and display the results to the user. So maybe maybe user. Let's go here. So we will, when user will first come on this page, we will not match with any location, we'll just get the results from the Firebase and display it here. But then user has option to choose his location and see different posts based on the location. So this is what we are going to do. So let's start showing it in the home page. Now, since I want to show it to the home page, which file I should edit? Can anyone tell me which component I will be editing? I want to show the results on the home page. So which component I should be editing it? This we are not going to edit for this home page, but which component we should be editing when we are trying to edit in the home page? Let's see the routing.
Home.js.
Home.js. So if I go to the routing, if I go to slash, that is the main page. This is the home component. So we should be able to edit the home.js and try to put things in this file. So it should be home.js. Okay, so let's start working in home.js. Now, if I go to create page, you might have noticed it that I have not used the Redux. I have not used the Redux part because we are not saving anything in the state. Redux part is used when we are trying to save something in the state. But when we are going to edit in the home page, this data will come from the server, and this data we have to save. We have to save in the state, and that is the reason we will be using the Redux part in this one. Okay, so to use the Redux part, we should be able to create the action. We should be able to create the reducer, and then we should be able to call these two in the component. So let's try to do that one. I will create a new action called as food donation. Food donation action.js. Let's create this action, food donation action.js, and I will copy these two lines which are in the top here. I will copy here, and I'll take one of the component, and then I will change that one to my requirement. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so I'll change it to something. Maybe I can say browse food donation, and right now I will not return anything. I will fill this part in some time, but right now I'm not doing anything here. Okay, so I'm just creating the food donation action. Now let's create the food donation reducer also. So let's go to reducer, and I'll create new file called as food donation reducer.js. I will donation reducer, and as I created this constant my reducer, similarly I will create it. Before I create the reducer, you just create this food donation action which I am giving you in the chat, and then we will work on the reducer. So always remember, we have to create action, and then we have to create reducer, and then we have to tie these both the things in the component, that is home.js. So just create the action. We will fill this action. This is still not done. Okay. So now let's create the reducer, which will be similar to this one. So I will say constant food donation reducer is equal to, I will create an arrow function, and in arrow function I will pass things. One will be the state and another will be the action, and we will fill default value of the state in some time. Right now I'm just saying state and action, and I will create this arrow function, and arrow function will have one switch statement which will be action dot type, and action dot type can be case. So if I create something here, so maybe I can say return, let's say if I want to return something, maybe I can say type of I'll say browse, only browse. I'll say br browse. Okay, yeah. So once I say browse here in food donation, I will check really what action is coming. I told you when it is a promise, we always get browse fulfilled. Whatever I create the action, it becomes fulfilled in the reducer. Whatever action, whatever type I pass in the action, since if I put the promise here, it becomes browse fulfilled. So I'll just use browse fulfilled, and then here I will say state equal to, and this will take the current state, and we will add more changes in it in some time. Just right now do this one only, and I'll say break, and there is one default statement. It will be having the break, and after in the end I will return the state, and here I will say export default food donation reducer. So the thing which is pending is here we need to update some state. So I need to write something here. I will write down in some time. And why I'm using fulfilled, the reason is if I use the promise here, so let's say if I want to build some action based on the promise, then I will, let's say I create a payload with new promise, and promise has two, this is a promise and it has arrow function in it. So whenever we use this promise, we always create the fulfilled, because browse, whatever we have put here type will not be same here in the reducer. It will be fulfilled. So whenever we use promise, it goes here as a fulfilled. So in the promise, we will have two parameters. One will be called as resolve, and another will be reject. We will work on this payload in some time, now only. So just now add this payload in your action, and then create this reducer for now, and then we will move ahead. Still don't test it because we have not completed the code, so it will break the code now. So still it's not done. So here in the promise, we either call API or we will call the Firebase or we will call whatever API or Firebase which a developer have given. So any URL which backend developer has given to you is provided to you. Right now we are working on the Firebase. Another application we will work on API. We will use API. But right now let's do the Firebase because we are doing Firebase. So anything Firebase related code will go here. So let's try to see which code we can put in the Firebase. So to make use of the Firebase, we have to first take this URL. What is the URL? This is the URL. Now when user will search, the URL will change based on the search criteria. But right now I am just using simple browse. We are not searching anything right now. We'll see search after some time, today or tomorrow. But let's try to see to get all the posts. So we will use the browse kind of thing now. So we are not searching anything. And from where we will get the post from data and the post. If I go to the Firebase, it's in the data, and inside data we have post. Inside post we have this post record. We are not searching, so we are not going to city, we are not going to country, we are not going to county. We are just going to get all the records. So we are going to the post, this post tree. Inside data we have the post, and inside post we have all the records. So we will be constructing our URL as base path, and in the base path we will go to data and post. We are not searching, so no city, no keyword still we are doing. We are only simply getting whatever is user is posted, we are getting it and showing it to the other users. Now what we have to do, we have to create a reference of this URL. We have to create a reference. So I will say create a reference of above URL. How to create reference? I will say Firebase database, that is this Firebase database dot reference ref, and I will pass this URL. So this reference is this URL, and we use the Firebase database dot reference method to make this as a reference. So whenever we want to fetch the data from the Firebase, we have to first create this reference as I have created here. And reference is nothing but the URL which you want to fetch. Right now I want to fetch this post URL. So I am creating the reference of this post URL. This is a URL. Now how to fetch it? Now there is one method called as reference.on. There is a method called as on. And inside on, there is a method called as, there is a parameter called as value. And I have to pass the value in this parameter. And then I have to pass the function. And this function will end here. This function will have one parameter called as snapshot. And then I will see what is the snapshot consist of. So I will say console.log snapshot is, and to access the snapshot, we have to use the snapshot in the following way. Snapshot.wall. Now, whenever we call this action, it will go to this Firebase URL. It will create a reference of that URL. And because of this reference.on, it will get all the data from the Firebase based on this URL. And it will show here in the console.log. So let's try to see how it works. Now, before I make it use of any work, you need to create this payload part. So I will give you this only this payload part, inside part. Just put it inside your payload, or I can give you whole file. You can take whole file also. But basically put this part which I put it now. Okay. Now we will call this action in our home.js. So let's go to home.js. Since this home.js does not have any redux, we will make it a redux wise. We have to make it so that it should work as a redux. So to use it as a redux, I will add following code. I will say import connect from React Redux. This is the first line. Whenever you want to make a component to Redux, add this line in the top, and then we need to create two functions. Right now I will say constant map state to props. This is the one function I will create. This will have all the state, and another function I will create map dispatch to props. This will have arrow function, and this will get the dispatch as the parameter, and in the state I will return, since I want only the food donation reducer, so I will just return food reducer, and it will be in the form of state dot food donation reducer. This food donation reducer comes from this name here, and I am renaming it to food reducer. So whenever if I want to use it on this page, I will use this food reducer, not this food donation reducer. Food donation reducer is the real name of the file, real name of the reducer. I am reducing it to a food reducer, or I can say FR also. Let's keep food reducer as a short form, which will get the state from food donation reducer, which is this one. So whatever state we will pass here will go here in the food reducer. I will create another function called as map dispatch to props. Here I will dispatch the action which I just now created. So I will say return curly bracket, and here I will call the action. Which action I want to call? I want to call this food browse food donation. So here first I will give some my name. Maybe I can say function 1. I can rename it to whatever I want. Colon. I'll create an arrow function here, and inside arrow function I will dispatch. What I will dispatch? I will dispatch this action, browse food donation. Now another last step which I have to do to make it reducer, I will use connect here. Connect, and I'll make home page like in the round bracket, and here I'll say map state to props, and I'll say map dispatch to props. Now I created one function for the state. I created another function for the dispatching of the action, and I dispatch one action called as food donation. That is this one. Since it is a function, I need to put round bracket start and end to make it call this function. I use the connect in the top to make it work like a redux. I created two functions. I added these two functions here in the connect. Now tell me, will this file will work or no? Is everything fine or something is missing?
Action.
Action is this one. I put it here. Now since I am calling this section, but I have not imported this section, so this will fail. So here I have to import this section which I am calling it. So I will say browse food donation, import browse food donation from which file? Actions. Inside action I will use food donation action.js. So I have to import this food donation action here, then only it will work. Now tell me everything is fine or is still something missing?
You have to import food donation reducer.
We don't import the reducer, but reducer should be there in the store. So we have to make sure in the store we right now have only my reducer. So we have to import here. So I will import food donation reducer from reducers food donation reducer.js, and we have to add this food donation reducer here in this combined reducers, because we don't import food donation reducer here because it is not coming from the top, it is coming from the state, and so we should be adding this food donation reducer in the store, then only it will go into the state. The state of this food donation will go into the store and save it. So we have to add this in the store. I will put these two lines of the code which is in the store. Put these two lines of the code in the store.js, and in the home.js add these three lines in the bottom, and in the top add, I can move this one, add these two lines of the code in the top.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I can't. I don't know what I'm supposed to paste where.
Okay, so first open the home.js and just put these two lines of the code. I will give you slowly. Okay, so first only open the home.js and add these two lines of the code which I gave you in the last. Let me know if it's done. I'll tell you another part.
Okay, that's done.
Okay. Now in the home.js, in the bottom, just copy these two functions and the last export default line, which I give you in the chat. So the two functions and the last default line.
Okay.
Okay. Now open the store.js and add this line after my reducer line I gave you in the last. So add this line after my reducer.js line.
Got that done.
Okay. Now in the store part, constant store, you have to add this food donation reducer. So this is the only part you have to add. After my reducer, you have to put comma and put donation reducer.
Okay.
Okay, action is done, right? You have put these already previously, and this is also done previously. So that's it for now.
Import connect from.
Yeah, import connect. I showed you in the top. I gave
Okay.
Okay, now we will run this file and see where exactly problem is coming, and then we will fix that problem. Okay, let's try to see what's coming now. Okay, so it's saying map dispatch to props is not defined. Let's see what is the problem with. So the spelling is wrong, so I will copy this and put it here. This line spelling is wrong. Let's see now what is the problem. Okay, create reducer has a problem. Import food donation reducer from reducer food donation reducer.js. Okay, it's saying food donation reducer return undefined during initialization. So let's see what is problem with food donation reducer. So we should have some initial value of it. Right now, I don't know what will be the initial value. So maybe I can put right now anything and then I will change it. Right now I'm saying data null. Okay. So just put the initial value of the in the reducer file. After the state, you should like this arrow initial value. I give in the chat because there is no initial value, so it was returning nothing, and that was creating a problem. So we should have some initial value. This initial value is a temporary because I don't know how the data will be saved. I will think when the data will come. So right now I'm just putting data null. I don't know what will be the real format of the data once I see what is coming. Is it done?
Yes.
I got an error. I can't find.
Okay. Still, error. I have to see whether error is coming or not. I'll just. Okay. Let's refresh and see if I'm getting any error.
Fine.
Okay. I'm getting warning, which is maybe extra call, which we will delete after some time, but at least results are coming correctly. You are getting error, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Show me the error. Okay, dispatch is not defined. Go to food donation action.js. Okay, where is your connect statement? Final line. Okay, you have to put last line also. You first have to put last line. I don't see your last line, and last line is like this. I will give in the chat again. This is the last line in the home. Okay, put in your food donation action, not in action, home.js.
Put what?
I gave in the chat last line, you have to put this in the home.js. Open the chat and see my chat.
Yeah, I put that in there.
Show me, show me. Okay, let me see. Okay, in the dispatch, you have to pass the dispatch. In the second function,
Oh, wait a minute.
yeah,
Did I,
yeah, now it's correct.
did I put it? I think
Okay, no, don't remove all this one. In the action, you don't have to put these two. Delete all bottom 3 code lines of the code. Yeah, delete this. This has nothing to be put in this one. Yeah, this one is fine. Go to your action. Your action is wrong. I will paste my action again. Action is only this one. I will, maybe you mix this to the things. Just see the chat for the action. Action is only this much. You don't have to put connect. You don't have to put browse, put donation. Rest all is fine. Delete line number 4 and 6 in action. Yes. Let's go now there and see. Okay, now you go to a reducer file. Go up. Not this reducer, food donation reducer. Yeah, so you have to pass the default value of the state. I will give you the first line again. So state will be like this. Just see the chat. So you have to say state equal to data null. You have to give some value in the state, otherwise it will give undefined. Not here. Control Z. Control Z. In the first line of the code, state equal to. In the first line, state equal to. Line number 1. Yeah, state equal to. Wherever you have a state parameter inside the function, it will say state equal to.
Here?
Yes.
This?
Yes. Not here, curly bracket. Start the curly bracket or copy paste whatever I have given in the chat. Yes. Data colon null. Close the curly bracket. So this is what we are doing. We are initializing with some value. We are giving some initial value to the state. Now go to the browser. Yeah, so this is coming correctly now. Now what? Yeah.
I have an error.
Error?
Yeah.
Okay. Go to your home.js. Okay, let me see. Map, constant map state to props, constant map dispatch to props, display food donation. Okay, you have put semicolon after the dispatch. The dispatch, okay, that is fine. That is fine. Fine. Map dispatch to, okay, spelling is mistake like I was having. Line number 86 and line number 94, spelling is different. So copy from 86, map dispatch to props and paste it in line, yeah, and paste it in the line number 94. Yes. Save it.
Works.
Okay, now I have put data equal to null here as a temporary. I will fix it. I will put the real thing after some time. Right now, I'm just putting anything to see what is exactly coming. Now I will see, I want to see, now this is the action. What this action is doing? Action, I will tell you what it is doing, then you repeat. Action is calling this URL. This URL is calling the reference to the Firebase. And this reference is calling one function called as on, which will give some snapshot. Just remember, it will give some snapshot. And what is there in the snapshot, we will see here. And this is called in the browse food donation. And this browse food donation is using the type of browse. When it goes to reducer, what will be the type?
Fulfilled.
Fulfilled, browse fulfilled. And it will go to this part of the code. And if I want to call this browse food donation, how will I call this browse food donation? I am calling this here. Browse food donation here in this dispatch. And to use this browse food donation, if I want to call this dispatch, what will I call in this page? I will call this function 1. If I want to access this function 1, what is the way to access the function 1? How can I access this function 1? How can I access this function 1? How will I access this function 1 here in this component? Do you remember how I was calling this function 1?
Oh, this props function 1.
Props.function 1. This is the way we call all the functions in this map dispatch to props. Or if I want to call this food reducer, then also I will use the same one. So let's see if I call this function 1, what's happening. Okay, I will call this function 1 not in the render function. I will call this function 1 in one of the function that is called as component did mount. So you have to create one function called as component did mount, and in that you have to put this function 1, and then we will see how it goes. So if you see, let's refresh again. So when the page will load, it is calling this component did mount, and component did mount is calling function 1. Function 1 is calling dispatch to browse food donation, and browse food donation is calling the promise, and promise is going to the Firebase, and Firebase is returning the value of this one, and we are able to see this value here. Here we are getting the snapshot, and snapshot has both the records which we just now created. So snapshot has both the records which we just now created. So how the things go? First the things go to the action. After action, it gives one type. It returns on the type and it goes to the Firebase, and once the Firebase is run, it comes to this console.log. And if we do some return statement, it will go to the food donation reducer, and it will go to this part of the reducer that is called browse fulfilled, and it will go to the state. And after food reducer, it will store the state in the store.js, and I will be able to see it in the food reducer if I have anything in the state. But if I want to call this food donation, I will call on the page load, and anything if you want to call on the page load, you should call in the component did mount. So in the component did mount function, I call this.props.function 1, which calls this part of the code, and it will dispatch the browse food donation, and browse food donation will call the Firebase again, and it will get the data. So this is the circle which we have to remember. Now you copy this part and then we will go through it again. So put this in the home.js. And once you copy it, run this page and see if you are getting this snapshot with both the values. If you have created it. If you haven't created it, it will not come. Okay, let's go through it again and then we will move further. I will open my readme. Now, we will continue this tomorrow, but I will ask some basic questions now about this one. What is the purpose of Redux? Why we use Redux?
Save state.
This is single page application we are building. So you look here now, don't do anything. Whenever we build a single page application, we change from one component to another. We go from one component to another. And when we go from one component to another, we have to pass the variables from one component to another. So let's say if there are thousands of components in your application, so passing one variable from one page to another will be very difficult. So we save all the variables in store.js, and that is called the Redux. Redux is nothing but saving the state in store so that we can use it anywhere in our code. Let's say if I don't want to use in any other component, only in one component, then will I use the Redux? Let's say if I want to use variable only in one component and I don't want to pass to another component, what will happen in this case? Will I use Redux in this case or no?
No.
No Redux, because we are not using it in multiple components. We can only use Redux when we want to use it in multiple components. Now another question. How to apply the Redux? What are the steps to apply the Redux? Create the action, create the reducer, open the component and call both action and reducer, and add reducer in store.js. So these are the steps of Redux. So let's say if I want to create food donation in the Redux, so I will create one action. This is the action. I will create a reducer. This is the reducer. I will put it in the store. I put it in the store. Then I combine or I call the action, which is this part, and the reducer, which is this part, in what? In component. So this is the steps for the Redux. Now here we are showing that this is called a browse. It is a browse. So first I will create the action. What will action do? Action will create a promise and get data from API or Firebase. Once the data will come, we will return two things. One is the type, and another thing we have to reduce is the payload. Payload is nothing but the data which I am getting from the Firebase. The payload is nothing but the data from the Firebase. And what is the type? Type, you can put anything. I put the browse here. This is the action of my food donation. Now let's go to the reducer. Reducer has a different case statement. Now here the case statement will be browse underscore fulfilled. Why it will be fulfilled? Because we are using promise, and promise is returning data. So whatever type will be here, it will append it with fulfilled. And here we have to manipulate the state, which we did not did today. We will do tomorrow. Manipulate the state. Now what is the reason of manipulating the state?
To refresh the page.
Not refresh the page, to save the data in the state. And this data will be saved in the state, and this state will be saved in the store. And once this data will be saved in the store, all my views will get updated. So anything which we do in the reducer is only to save the state in the store. If we don't want to save the state in the store, we no need to call the action, no need to call the reducer, just work in the component only. We only call the action and reducer because we want to save some data in the state, and that state will go and save in the store. Since in this case we are getting the data from the Firebase which we want to save in the state, we will create the reducer with the case of browse fulfilled. And we will manipulate the data. That means we will change the state. Manipulate the state means we will change the state with the new data which has come from Firebase. And this data will be saved in the state, and the state will save in the store, and then all views will get updated. So this is the food donation. We call the Firebase part. Once the data will return, it will go to the reducer. Here I will update the state variable, which I haven't done it today. I will update with some value. Maybe I can say data, which is nothing but this data, colon payload. Whatever payload is coming, I will attach that to payload. So I have to manipulate the data here, whichever here it is there, which is coming from the backend server. And once this state is changed, it will go to the store, and store will update the state, and then we will go to the view again, and view will display the updated data here. So this is how we work in the Redux atmosphere. Now we will talk this again tomorrow. Let's see what is coming when I refresh the page again. So when I refresh the page, my code goes to the action and it calls the browse, type of browse, and it calls the promise. Promise will go to the server, that is Firebase server. It will return the snapshot, and snapshot will have all the data. And once the data has come, it will go to the reducer, and reducer will take this data and save it somewhere in the store, and store will update all the views again. Any questions on this process?
No question.
Okay. So remember one thing, maybe I will repeat 1 or 2 times more, you will understand more. We are dealing with a single page application. It's not the PHP, it's the single page application. In single page application, all the user is on the page all the time. User will not refresh the page. and we will not refresh the page. So since it's a single page application, user will go from one component to another component to another component to the third component. And when he go from one component to another, all the data will be lost. And because of that, Redux has come into the picture. Redux will save the data into the state. And whenever user will go from one component to another component, he will get data from the state, that is the store, because state will be saved in the store.js, and he can use that variable in any of the component. That is the purpose of the Redux. Now we will see again how the data is coming. So when the page load, you know that the data is coming, and data is in the form of snapshot. And here I am getting the two value. Now look here, what I have used to get the data from the server. I have used the variable called as on value. This on value is very important. What is the meaning of on value is, whenever the new data is there on the server, then you update that data here. So now see the fun part. If I create a new record, okay, I will be creating the new record here. Okay, here you can see two records are there. How many records are there? Two records are there. I will create one new post. I will put anything here now. And I'll create a new post. Once I create a new post, you will see now automatically we get the update of 3 records. I'm getting 3 records now without refreshing the page. I got all the 3 kinds of records. Let's create one more to see the effect again. I'm not refreshing this page. I'm just creating the new record. You will see automatically we get 4 records here. Why we are getting these 4 records without refreshing? Because we are using one of the function of the Firebase that is called reference.onValue. OnValue has this functionality that whenever the new records come on the server, it will automatically call this part and it will update the data here. So whenever we call this on one, whenever there is new data in the server, we are here and we are returning something from here. So today, just remember this one, that we created the action, we created the reducer, and we call the reducer and action in the home.js by calling these functions. And once this function is called, we can use this food reducer to get the data, and we can call this function 1 to pass the action to the dispatch, and in that way we will get the new records from the Firebase. It's still not done. Just remember this part today. Tomorrow when we will complete this part, then you will understand more clearly what's happening. It's a big part. I cannot complete it in one day. It's a big part.